Hello and welcome. For a couple of months, I have wanted to share my experience with the Victoptics SVD scope series, mainly the hidden downsides that aren't talked about anywhere else. I have owned 3 of these scopes and got some good info over all of them. When making this review, I have got some input from a Red Army veteran. I also used resources from RussianOptics.net, which has been a huge help for researching topics such as this. Visually, the 4X model matches the POSP scope closer than the PSO. Regardless of which scope was actually the basis for this replica, it's not 100% correct for either. The mount screws are Phillips head rather than the flat heads used for real POSP and PSO mounts. The finish is a decent replica of the spotty gray. Not a weak coating, but repeated contact with metal will wear it down, revealing the Chinese mystery pot metal. The markings are English, and the font is a generic one. They did not replicate the manufacturer's marking either. Instead, there is a mysterious SS marking on the inside of the front mount arm. On the battery cover, there is the Victoptics logo. I have attempted to remove it, but it seems to be something more than a simple sticker. The sunshade is an additional piece that screws on. I cannot confirm if the POSP scope had this feature, but the PSO definitely didn't. The reticle is close enough to a PSO1 reticle that I cannot see a difference. Various bits of the PSO and POSP scopes are missing from this replica. The turrets seem to be very close replicas of the POSP turrets. Markings are inaccurate. I may have missed some specific details, so do not hesitate to ask. The mount is very sturdy, no complaints. The shiny parts are steel and don't bend. Screws keep in place and nothing rattles. The construction is solid. Glass clarity on all 3 scopes is good. I have not got the eye for very nice optics, but it has worked well for airsoft. The brightness settings are fine, but they're so bright that it doesn't help in dark environments. Here, I have to explain a couple points I noticed with these scopes. As previously mentioned, I have experience with 3 different scopes. The first scope was a 3 to 9x, second was a 4x model, and the third one was also a 4x model. I don't own the first and third scope anymore. The first and second scope that I owned were old generation. The third one was a new generation. The new gen version is a slightly darker gray in the finish, and with an extra line around the front tube of the optic. It brings no points for replica accuracy though. The old gen had more wobbly turrets and weaker clicks. The new gen ones have stronger clicks and less wobble. Both generations have 0.75 MOA adjustments as per the Victoptics webpage, but that won't matter much in airsoft. I should add that these scopes might be a rebrand of Spina Optics, who I suspect are the real manufacturers. Now for the part I wanted to do this review about. The reticle is at fault for most of the issues. On old gen models, the reticle lines are a bit too fat. The lines should be finer. On newer gen models, the lines are about double the thickness of old gen models. And now the biggest problem. The reticle is canted counterclockwise on all scopes. For airsoft, this requires attention because of how hop-up works. I have installed shims under the mount arms and the mount itself, alleviating the issue a bit, but not solving it. I do not recommend doing this because it's very hard to put back together once shimmed. On the YouTube channel Civilians Pics, there is a review of the Spina Optics Rakurs site that shows the same issue. I think this is a continuous problem across all of the production lines. The scope is a replica that fails at being a faithful representation of anything specifically, with issues that make it hard to recommend for practical purposes when compared to cheaper replicas that might not have these problems. For functionality, the price is unreasonable, and I would recommend getting a cheaper replica. For cosplay or reenactment, I also can't recommend it, since real scopes that this is based on are mostly in the same price range. This is a good looking item, but for any use case, I simply can't recommend it. I hope this review helps potential buyers and sways them away to look at other options more thoroughly.